penny, money 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 penny, penny, money penny, money, money, money penny, 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 oh money penny, money penny, money penny. Money penny, oh 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 money penny, money penny, oh money, oh Barokatan Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam shekol na'im b'dvaro. Money penny, money penny, 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 money penny, money penny, money penny, money penny. Hi, it's still hot. Penny, oh money, oh money penny, oh money penny, money penny, penny, oh money, oh money penny, 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 money penny, oh mani penne om mani penne om mani penne om mani penne om penne om mani penne om mani penne mani penne mani penne mani penne om mani Neon, neon, oh money, neon, oh money, neon, oh neon, money, peneo, oh 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 money, peneo. Oh, money penny, oh, money penny, oh, money penny, oh, money penny, oh, money penny. Mm-hmm.
You have reached the voicemail box of 75442235529. At the tone.
Money penny, oh, money penny, money penny. Penny, oh, penny, money penny, oh, money. Mm-hmm. Here we are. Well, there were a few more people last this time than there are this evening. It's the holiday fallout, my friends. People going out of town and having such a great time that their schedules overlap, and that's all good. Whenever this airs, wherever you are, whatever you are supposed to receive from it, you shall. There have been notices that have gone out, and again, it's just the day after the 4th of July. Well, and none of my people would have hangovers at this particular point in time, but then again, I guarantee nothing for no one. This is Reverend Sharon, and it will only be an hour this evening. Last week we were on for almost 2 hours. But again, we had quite a few more people and a very interesting gentleman, Master Ed, the facilitator, the person in charge of Universal Qigong and Tai Chi Institute. This is You Are a Healer, and the Wednesday evening broadcasts are now going to be directed towards gathering in healers or those who facilitate in the healing aspect of our light bodies. There will be an amazing amount of energy coming in. If you haven't felt it already, the energy is awesome. And so, as we are not excluding light workers and intuitives and mediums and psychics, we are all healing. Some on the level of just spirit, some on the level of just emotion, and some actually in the physical realm. That being said, this evening's broadcast is going to focus specifically on sharing energy, shifting it. In other words, you are familiar with shifting of the energy. I'm sure you are. And so, again, this is Reverend Sharon, who is going to lead you in a small chant, and the modality we'll be speaking on this evening will be Reiki or Reiki. It doesn't matter what your pronunciation is, as long as the message is there. And so we take a deep breath, holding for the count of 3, releasing through parted lips. We breathe, breathing deeply once again, bringing in, inhaling as much of the life force as we possibly can, and releasing through parted lips, breathing in through the nostrils, of course, releasing through parted lips, and breathe. And as we take in the light force, the life force, the energy of the one within us all, at this moment, we release from parted lips the mantra of the Om, known to many others in the universe as the central force, the cylindrical force of all life as it is. Om. And take in another deep breath. Om. as you release that breath. Once again, in through the nostrils, releasing through parted lips. Om. And we start this particular evening with just an invocation for protection of all who may listen, whether now or in the future. We thank the archangels of light for blessing us. Michael to the right of us, Gabriel to the left, Uriel before us, Raphael behind us, and above our crowns, the eternal Shekinah. I often recite this in Aramaic, the language of the Master Yeshua, known to some as Jesus the Christ. Well, good evening, my dear. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you? I got you called when I was at the gas station. I'm like hurrying up, and I said, "Oh, I wonder how you doing."
Oh,
Came back from class.
bless your heart. I am fabulous. I am absolutely fabulous.
Did you get my message
Uh,
about the dolphins?
mm, oh, yes, I did. And we will discuss that. I'm very interested in going to that particular research facility. I think that's going to work.
Yeah.
Um, what I was about to do, the invocation of the angels in Aramaic. Shem Adonai, Mimini Mikael, Misomoli Gabriel, Umili Fanai Uriel, Ume Afarai Raphael, Baal Roshi Shekinat El. And with this invocation, we call upon I call them the Fantastic Four, the archangels that are responsible for surrounding each and every individual, as well as the matrix of this planet with light force. And of course, the eternal Shekinah rules out of the Merkaba, that sacred geometrical device that hovers above our heads and is increased in its ability to surround us with light as we meditate. So I call upon that energy to surround each and every soul, from the crown of their head to the soles of their feet, with the light of divine love. And so it is. This evening, I was hoping to have a discussion with the other Reverend Sharon on the technique that she uses with the Brazilian modality of healing. It requires nothing from the participant except a belief. And that is something that is a part of all modalities, actually, whether it's Qigong or Reiki or uh, Tikkun Hefenesh, that's Kabbalah. If you have no belief in what you are engaging in, it will not work. This principle has been proven with the placebos, the sugar that is taken in by some who find that they are healed. And of course, sugar does heal open cuts and wounds and bruises on the skin. You make a solution of it, put it directly on the wound, and it seals it up almost with the same rapidity as the aloe gel. However, if you don't believe in your healing or your ability to heal from within, it simply won't take place. Now, I, as a Reiki specialist, I don't say practitioner because personal reasons. I don't say practitioner, um, but practitioner is a term that is used. And for those of you who have received Reiki training, especially second to third level. You may be familiar with this daily morning prayer, which I'm going to give, and it's in Japanese. My Japanese is not that great, but don't worry, I will also uh, I'll also give you the English translation. No, the Japanese is not that good. Okay. I will not anger. Ukulu na. I will not worry. Shimpa suna. I will be grateful. Kansha shekte. I will work hard. Goao age me. I will honor all humans. Hito ninshinasita. So, okay. Now, as I said, my Japanese leaves a little bit to be desired, but I think you get the gist of it. You don't have to say it in Japanese, but the feeling, the emotion is there. When you participate in being a Reiki specialist, or if you will, Reiki practitioner, one of the first things that we learn or that we are taught or we teach is that you must take care of the vessel. And that's what the Reiki specialist is, a vessel. This program, calling all healers, light workers, intuitives, etc., it is a work of progress because it has come to this point in our shift where we need to remember to take care of the vessel. We are not the ultimate in healer. We are not the healers. Because if the individual that you're working on is not in agreement or is frightened of the work, then all you're doing is translating air. I have had as many people tell me I felt nothing as I have had people say, I am healed. And to both my respond and the respond of anyone who teaches or shares the Reiki energy is it is the Christ within you that does the work. It is not left to me or upon me. And of course, in instances where you hear about certain things taking place and people responding to certain energies, this happens because that individual has opened themselves to receiving whatever that energy is, whether it's from the dark side or the light side. You have the opportunity, you have, because you are such an immortal being, you have the facility of blocking off energy. And I've seen it done in Reiki with people who weren't familiar with what it was, that it's an energy that mates, well, not mate, better word, better term, Sharon, that blends with the energy within the individual. One just, it's like striking a match. You can blow the match out or you can let it burn down to the tip. So I have seen people in complete denial of the energy that they are about to receive to the point of being fearful. And the minute that takes place, I can see chakras closing when I let myself be open to it. I am not alone in this particular talent. Everyone can. But when I'm doing work with assisting people, it is one of the things that I can see. And I have seen people close their chakras in front of me. It's okay because I know that these are individuals who are frightened of where is the energy coming from? How is it going to affect me, etc., etc. And so they build up a barrier and they close down the chakras. Again, it's okay. It's a actually it's a good thing. It means that they are on the alert as to what is passing through the body. How Reiki energy works is that it comes through the facilitator first. And if you process Reiki energy at all, you may be able to recall sometimes you might feel heat in the palms of your hands, or you might feel chakras moving into position, your own chakras moving into position. Sometimes the third eye will begin to tingle. Sometimes the portal beneath your skull, the pituitary gland that feeds the third eye, sometimes that will tingle. Sometimes the heart chakra will. And in that case, that may mean that the individual you're working on, uh, their heart chakra needs a little opening. And so if you feel that that's the case, you direct the energy to that person's heart. You don't have to touch them. You don't have to be in the same room with them. You can perform this essence of energy light from a distance. They can be in another country. They can be on the moon. If your intention and their intention are in agreement, you only have to, what is it they say? Say that it is so from within, allowing it with your intention being of the light, allowing that intention to go forth. Reiki specialists, practitioners, etc., also have the ability of readers. Some acknowledge it and some don't. The reading part can come in, oh, let's see, it may appear as remote viewing, which is what is a very popular term right now. And all it means is that all of a sudden you are in a space where you see things going on around you and you know that that's not where you are right at the moment. You may see, with me, it's happened with suddenly being in someone else's house and seeing certain things in that person's house and not knowing that that was what I was doing. This is one of my this was my first year of being a Reiki specialist, and someone was concerned about something going on with a family member, and we had just finished processing a Reiki circle of I guess about maybe a dozen people, and this was one of the Reiki specialists who was concerned about a family member, and all of a sudden the energy was there. I was no longer in the room. I was in the house of that person. And because I was concerned that I was like maybe hallucinating in the middle of the day, hadn't had a thing to drink. That was a joke. Um, I started describing to the individual, asking them, is this in your daughter's house? Is that in your daughter's house? And as she confirmed it, I realized that I was in the daughter's house. Now, Reiki's not the only way you do that. That's not the first time that I encountered that. But what I'm saying is that as you practice the Reiki, as it becomes more and more a part of your day-to-day life, you see your different abilities and your different gifts begin to open, and you are able to access the energy more and more with less and less work for preparation of yourself. And Sherry, didn't you just
Mm-hmm.
say you just took level 1, right? Of
For
Reiki.
Reiki, no, I went all the way through in Crystal Reiki. I'm certified in that.
Oh, you went. So you're a master of that level.
Well, That's what the paper says.
Yeah, I know how you feel. The paper can say a lot of stuff. It took me a while to get used to what it says on my paper too. The more you practice though, the more comfortable. Well,
Yeah,
the more comfortable you
I
try to
think when
get with it.
I was going to say, I think afterwards is I stepped back from it because I felt like I need to work on myself. And then a friend of mine who was training with me said that she received the same message, that you have to clear yourself and work on yourself
Right.
before you can heal others. And I feel like I'm pretty much there now. I feel a lot better than I did a year ago. I've been working on myself. If it should call me to come back to that, um, I almost feel like, since it's a different type because we're using crystals, I was going to actually ask you about the quantum. I'm getting a lot of information about energetic
Hmm.
some levels, so it's kind of like integrating that. And I just happened to be reading a book on energy medicine. Maybe your other friend can talk about that too. And they did I was watching a photo, what do you call it? PowerPoint presentation today, and they showed the different fields
Mm.
body, and it was interesting. They said that, you have to align. I think they said there's 15 chakras, working with the
Um,
ascendant ones, that, yeah, now we're going above and below,
well,
like,
there's at least five above the head, above the crown, and five beneath the feet, or
mhm.
in Kabbalah they're called the Malkut. But as far as chakras are concerned, if you want to get a good idea of how many chakras there are, get yourself you're I know you're familiar with acupuncture. Get yourself an
Yeah.
acupuncture chart. And what they show on the acupuncture chart is the basically the ley lines. I call them ley
Mhm.
lines, but they call them meridians of the light force in the body, because that's where the needles go when they go in into your body. You're thinking, "Oh wow, this doesn't hurt. Why doesn't it hurt?" It doesn't hurt because it's been there. They have been taught where the ley lines, or the lines of that are leading to the chakras, I call them portals, light portals, are. But they're putting the needles into your light body. For every, when you look at the chart, for every meridian portal that you see, and you'll see it, you'll see little lines leading to it, and then it'll be like a circle of little lines around it. Those are all chakras. And it has been calculated that there's uh maybe 250, because there's chakras between the fingers, chakras between the toes, behind your ear lobes. And uh, I notice in Western culture, we don't really focus on the chakras that are behind us. But for every chakra that's in front of you, everybody knows about the seven from the third eye and the throat and the heart, etc. For each of those, there is a parallel chakra at your back. Uh, the names are all in, what is it, Sanskrit, and in Japanese, and some of them are in Hindu. The chakra that is parallel or works with your root chakra is called the Huyin. And this is the chakra that we are taught, that assists you, or that you should pull on. Let's say that you should pull on when you're doing energy shifting work, as far as assisting someone in their healing process. And how you do that is that you take a deep breath directed from your rectum. And in Hindu, it's translated into the rectal breath, or the rectal chakra. But it is the chakra that's just over the rectum, and it works specifically with the root chakra that sends the energy upward. So when if, for instance, when I'm teaching Reiki, this is the motion that I have to go into so that the attunement is as it should be. So it's rectal breath, and it's a combination of things when you're teaching the Reiki and doing the attunements. Um, as far as the chakras are concerned, I mean, the 15 layers, I got a feeling that the 15 layers that they were showing, they were really talking about the auras, because a lot of people are not really sure about how many layers there are in our auric field, but there are about 15 of them. And if you meditate on a regular basis, they will expand. Your auric field will expand to a circumference of at least 15 feet around you. And this
Yeah.
is good. This is a good thing. You got full protection there. So, um, whoops. Sorry about that.
I had a
Oh, I've got a brand new phone that does not like me yet. It's learning. It's learning to like me. Yes, there we go. Uh, but the chakras that you activate when you're teaching, with when you're teaching Reiki or when you're doing energy shifting work, some people like to put them in stasis during their day-to-day life, and then there are those, especially like monks, uh, or people who cloister themselves, who keep them open all the time because it's better for them to do the work from that level. Bottom
but we,
line, yeah,
yeah. Say when you work with the upper ones, like when you guys do your Reiki treatments, though, are you concentrating on just the basic 7 that were, or do you go all the way out that field you're talking about?
we go all the way out. I can't speak for anybody else. I go all the way
Yeah, I was
out.
gonna say,
I,
maybe
I
you
had
do.
a, yeah. I had a very traditional teacher, and then
Mm-hmm.
most people are familiar with William Lee Rand, who I'm going to get him to come on one evening. He is very well known. He's internationally known. He holds Reiki teaching seminars around the world. I think he's got one scheduled for Japan in a few weeks or sometime during the summer. He gives them at Stonehenge. He gives them at the pyramids of Giza. Wherever there's an energy portal, that's where he takes it, so that whatever energy is present there, he tries to blend it in with what he's doing. He's a very unusual man. Um, and he's also combined the energy modality of the Hawaiian uh, kahuna. A lot of people are not familiar with what that term means. However, the term kahuna is similar to shaman in the Hawaiian culture. And so, for a lot of years, I remember they used to, oh, the big kahuna, the big wave, blah, blah, blah. That's because in the Hawaiian culture, the kahuna has has the opportunity to develop the ability to actually walk on waves. I've read stories about them being able to do that. Haven't seen it done, but they have that. Uh, we've got the biblical thing going on uh, with Yeshua walking on the water. This is not something that is unusual in some cultures. In some cultures, this is the norm. We don't hear about it though, because we don't hear about those norms. But the kahunas have the ability to access that light source. I would assume that it is something that they find to be very practical. I haven't yet determined a need for walking on water, though they do say that Florida is under sea level. So maybe I should start concentrating on that one. But another joke. But in the in the meantime, they are able to do some amazing things, and they're really modality is a lot like the Tibetan monks. In other words, they find the silence and they dwell on the silence, and they have certain techniques to assist them in meditation and so forth. And so eventually, after years and years of practicing uh, good food and or positive energy, etc., they reach that point where they are mystical by nature. It's a small group, and because of Western culture, it isn't flourishing as it used to, but there's some really neat legends about them. And it's probably the only modality I haven't gone into. I don't think I really need to go into that one, but it's okay. But I got to that because Sensei Rand worked with them. He spent time with them, and he developed uh, an ability to access their energies. And so he has a form of Reiki where he blends in that technology. And I understand it's very powerful. I have his books. I don't think that there's a Reiki practitioner or specialist that isn't basically familiar with his work, his writings. He has been uh, instrumental in bringing Reiki into the hospitals. Uh, and he gives you a whole program of how to uh, work with the hospital. Something I would like to see here in South Florida, where groups of people will get together and go to whichever ward they feel drawn to and just send the Reiki. But actually, you can do that from home. So it's not a
Doesn't.
necessity. Yeah, it's not a necessity to go, but it does assist if you go and you're working with people who desire the work. It would assist them in healing faster because they see it and they claim it and they make it their own. So, and you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to say I had an activation today actually, and he just asked us telepathically to say yes or no or permission. Um,
Mm.
and he said, you don't have to. The same thing. I think that's why a lot of through the internet, because even if someone say is in Germany and you're here, still that energy. Um, like I get what you're saying though. I think if you're actually physically there, but I know that there's a lot of people that are working that can send it
Yes.
through the phone, through the internet, telepathically, however it is. But I wanted to mention something because they were getting down to a lot of what he was saying was mirrored wing makers in the sense that about the chakra, uh, basing everything like out of your higher heart
Mm-hmm.
from there, versus he was saying that people get stuck on the old way was the lower three chakras, but that
Mm.
holds you to this dimension, and that's why working with to open the upper ones is where the codes are going to come in. But I thought it was interesting he got in the whole thing about the matrix and how it's been altered.
Mm-hmm.
It's been hacked into, so that's why we're the energies, we're trying to realign and get those codes back to activate the DNA. But he mentioned Metatron, and I know that you about it one time, and you said you weren't quite sure on that one, how you felt about that. But that have you heard the theory that was part of how it got hacked in?
Using
Metatron,
Metatron's
or
using Metatron's cube.
yes.
That's quite possible. I think I remember making that comment, and the only reason I made that comment was because uh, in studying about the Anunnaki, yes, I brought up extraterrestrials. In studying about the
Not
in,
gonna go there.
in studying about the Anunnaki, and
Yes.
even the name Anunnaki, Enoch, Enoch supposedly. Oh my gosh, I lent that book out. I have the book of Enoch, which was not allowed into the Bible that we refer to in the Christian faith.
Is that
Uh,
the keys of Enoch?
um, I don't remember the title of it. Someone had given it to me for a birthday present a few years back, and I have a tendency. I'm like a library. If people say they'll bring it back, I lend it out. But Metatron initially was Enoch, and Enoch was approximately 380 some, or maybe 90 something. He was close to 400 when he had the experience of dealing with God's source or one source, and there is one part of his recollection of where he says hell is not hell is not a hot place. It's cold. It's like ice. And for some reason that resonated with me. I never believed in hell's fire and brimstone, but the fact
Mm-hmm.
that Metatron was initially Enoch troubled me. I know from observation that all of the uh, sacred geometry symbols are in
Mm-hmm.
Metatron's cube. And if
Mm-hmm.
you read what has been printed on what he said, because he was the father to Methuselah, who was the father to Noah of the ark, and
Mm-hmm.
Methuselah lived to be close to 1,000, and so did Noah. But Enoch disappeared on them just after his, I believe, his 400th year or something like that, when he went to be one of the immortals, or however you want to play it. The Again, the only thing that troubles me is the fact that he was involved in what some people consider. I mean, Enoch gives a description of the 200 watchers, which uh, some people say, oh, they were 200 archangels, and some people say that it was a mixture of archangels and extraterrestrials that came to the planet and mated with the daughters of men. And this is why we have the phenomena of the giants, which actually still exist. They're just well hidden. Uh-oh. Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. Did somebody say that? Who said that? Anyway, all the stories that we have and all the myths about fairies and gnomes and nymphs and mermaids, etc., uh, from what I've read, can be traced back to the intimacy the Watchers had with the daughters of men. Um, that there may have been a mixture of archangels and extraterrestrials does not bother me at all, because whatever we as humans can imagine, it has already taken place. That's, in my opinion, that's where the basics of the imagination comes from. It's already taken place. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was just going to say, because he was talking about that everything comes down to sound, vibration, and light, which is, interesting now that there's such a big thing on light therapy. Even in mainstream, like medicine, modern medicine is going towards that now. They're behind anyway. But the reason I brought up Metatron is because, yeah, I never really got a straight answer about what about people that work with crystals. And a lot of times when you do grid work, you use, well, I don't use Metatron's configuration, but he brought up the tree of life, and I thought it was interesting because I know a lot of people use it. I've used it in the past, and
I
he
use
said,
the Seraphis. I
Okay,
believe
although
it's
he
in
was saying that the tree of life is actually a closed symbol and there's no connection to source
there.
on
Well,
that.
if
It's
you look at Metatron's cube, you can see the tree of life in there. There's also the flower of life,
mhm.
which which
Maybe
I
that's,
think the
I'm
flower
sorry, I wrote down flower of life.
you wrote down
Yeah,
flower of life, which also
flower of
has
life.
it also has if you look at it, you can see the resemblance to the tree of life in it. And the tree of life basically is it's like a blueprint of the major portals that exist in the light body, but it's even deeper than that. Um, I I know that
Yeah, he brought up like,
there is there's definitely ability and power in Metatron's cube and flower of life sacred geometry. Period, because it all works in accordance with the light and the sound in Genesis. And there's if you look at the Christian version, there's two reflections. There's two Genesis really, and most Western Christian people, and I'm trying to be politically correct here, people, don't realize that there was a wife before Eve. Now you can find it if you go into the Hebrew version. Her name was Lilith, but
mm,
when the description with that gives you more, I think, substance as far as the fact that first it came sound, then there came light. And so it only makes sense that sound and light would be at the very center of what is going on. The the sacred geometry is like the formula, or at least this is what my peeps have been telling me. It's like the formula. If you put them in the right configuration, I don't know if did you ever watch the movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
mhm.
Okay. A lot of people think that how the how he managed to put this, that, and the other so that the light shined on it, so that it opened up this, that, and that was no joke, people. That was real. Okay, that's real stuff that exists at certain places, time and space, with light source coming through from, and it would have to be of the power of, say, a sun or a solar uh, event to bring enough power through that would activate certain things so that they're in place. There's a lot of, I call them puzzles, but there's a lot of things that have been coded so that humans cannot access them. And when the codes are discovered, it can be like that Indiana Jones thing where all of a sudden click, 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 and there it goes.
Yeah, I was just confused on the where, because I always knew that the elements and all that were tied in sacred geometry. It's in nature everywhere.
Yeah.
That the shell, the Fibonacci, whatever the code, all of that. I got all of that. 144, sacred number, all that. But I was confused on when he brought up Metatron and the distortion into the geometric matrix. He said. So I'm wondering, is Metatron that's good, or stay away from that energy? Because I know people that actually have prayers that pray
Yeah.
to him for the energy and work with
Yeah.
it, and it's a good thing.
Yeah. I know of people who, I mean, you can devote yourself to anything. You remember the pet rock?
Yeah.
You can devote yourself to anything. That doesn't mean that, all it means is that it has the power that you give it. Um, much of the information that we have is incorrect. and it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I found out maybe last year that the colors of the chakras were intentionally uh, misinformed back by the Egyptians so that people would not be able to access the correct vibrations. And I used to wonder why, when I would see the chakras, when I would call the chakras in my mind, they tell you that the heart chakra is green, and it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I would always see pink and green as the thalamus, and I would always see. I never saw the colors in uh, the order that they tell you. And so what I started doing with my students, instead of, because I was instructed, like I said, by someone who was very traditional, and so she would instruct us on you following the colors and that envision this and that. It's all in my work. I'm gonna have to go back and edit some of that stuff anyway. But I never felt that it was in the right order. So what I started doing with my students is telling them, just envision light. Surround it with the light, white light. And don't worry about adding the colors or following the colors, whatever, because they've given us the incorrect information on that. It was intentional. As soon as I find that source, it was a book that I was reading. It may have been the Emerald Tablets. I will make sure that you get to see it or a copy of it. I appreciate the Emerald Tablets because the Emerald Tablets, to me, is kind of like the real map. In the Emerald Tablets, it tells you that, and a lot of this information is coming out, even through wing makers, that you can determine when you're coming back. You don't have to come back. You don't have to reincarnate. We've been told and given a story that if we're good, we go to heaven, and if we're not good, we go to hell. In the Tablets, this man breaks it down. And you don't have to come back to this planet or matrix. You have to remember, though, and I know that in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this is one of the things that they do. They teach the monks, or they teach you how or what to say to someone when they're passing, so that that person does not come back in a lifetime that they're not wanting to come back into. So other cultures have known, I guess it's mostly Christian, Judaic, that they've really been working our nerves. But other cultures other cultures have been familiar with the fact that no, you don't have to come back. And heaven, you make the heaven. What is it the master said? The kingdom of heaven is within you. He was serious. He had discovered the kingdom of heaven within himself. We can all do that. It takes work and acknowledgement. However, we've been brainwashed to believe otherwise.
I was going to say, I think this is where he mentioned a lot of the star seeds. And I think this is why a lot of them have that longing to leave or go home or finish whatever they were here, is because he brought up that reincarnation theory, which you remember in one of our meetings, we brought that up about, he was saying about the karma was being released, or I've heard that before about not working with karma anymore, that there's an actual, like you said, I think we've been trapped into with the matrix that, like you said, we accumulate it instead of working on it and ascending. And it's just like a cycle, and it just keeps going, like this and this. And they said now the codes and we're being realigned, or however this, this energies are coming in, that you're working, that you can release the karma and you're able to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the souls are going back to, do work on, which is what they're supposed to be doing, going to different planets, different dimensions, wherever it is that they're doing the work, and not staying bogged down here. I'm just wondering if, like, some of the anger that is here right now is is people, some of that is just repressed anger from that, a feeling of being trapped, or do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like we were talking about this yesterday about 4th of July, because my daughters and I were saying, yeah, it's Independence Day, but we're really not free.
No,
You know
we're
what I mean?
not.
So it's kind of like she was saying that we're watching the fireworks. Yeah, I get that, we left the British and all that. But if you think on a soul level with the whole planet, I said, nobody's really free.
No, I forget who the philosopher was, but he said, I think it may have been Gandhi. No one is free unless all men are free. So until
Exactly.
every single one is free, we're all in a state of bondage. And
Mm-hmm.
it could, it would make quite a few, it has made quite a few people angry to realize that state of bondage and to see it being perpetrated or perpetuated day in and day out. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
I know the sentiment of the star seed very well. There are days when I won't go into it, but I I don't think I'll be the least bit unhappy to finish up whatever my assignment is. Whatever my assignment is, it's okay with me. Um, in the meantime, though, there are people who are still going around and around and around in the circle, and they can't help it because I don't know. I was this with someone one day. If you take a look at this matrix, this planet, from a detached point of view, it's almost as if we were in a laboratory.
I was just going
Okay.
to say, I heard yesterday there was over 600 drugs on the market now that I guess physicians prescribe that prevents your telepathic forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Would
So those are the
think about think about
saying.
it. Think about it. If I know that this is something that would never occur to you, but if so do you have dogs or cats?
No.
Okay. But let me put it this way. If for some reason you have someone in or under a subservient state of mind, do you think you would really want them to start being able to be telepathic? It's like somebody
Yeah.
capturing Superman and said, "We got to keep the supply of kryptonite by him at all times." And somehow they run out of the kryptonite and he starts waking up. Don't you know I would not want to be anywhere near in a not within a 3 mile radius of where he would be once that stuff wore off of him.
Yeah, but it even goes like the plant and animal kingdom, like you said about fighting back or awakening, is even in with the animals. I look
Yeah.
at the circuses are all, they're kaput now because a lot of these animals and the whales, that girl got drug under. My daughter works with them all the time, and she said that because that's them fighting back. You don't think that their consciousness is elevating as well, and pretty soon they're like, yeah, you don't have to hit me with a stick to jump through a hoop. I think a lot of these
Okay.
animals are waking up and going, yeah, I want to be free, and I want to be roaming out in the, like why these reserves are popping up. I want to be back where I'm supposed to be, natural environment. That's what my daughter says. I get the understanding of the zoos as far as um, helping them breed, but she said eventually it's not supposed to be entertainment. Those
No.
animals are supposed to be in their own natural environment.
Yes, I agree with you
That,
completely.
yeah, hopefully that's gonna go to that one day. I'd like to see SeaWorld shut down too.
Mm. Now, in the line of the program, okay, and this evening is like with the
Sorry.
Reiki. No, no, no. That's a good. See, that's something that we can do as practitioners of healing modalities. This is something that is going to take place. It's going to take work. I've got a little intel on it, but I don't have the whole piece. I do know that eventually it's going to have to get to the point where those who work with the light or light workers are going to be instructed to start sending the light anonymously, because it is important to focus on saving this, and with that intention of bringing that information. And we're not saviors, we're not messiahs, we're not healers per se. We deal with the energy, and we know
Yes.
that in dealing with the energy and being able to read and being able to be intuitive about what's going on, we can assist the animals in being safe from those people that would harm them. And so this is something that's going to be coming up that we can do. And the crystal grid that you talk about, as far as the crystal grid is concerned, I mean, I've got a couple of books I could lend you on putting up a grid. I have a crystal grid from my house to the outside yard, and I have more animals flying through, quadrupeds, whatever. They're more than welcome, because the energy is uh, vortexed here with me, sending out the Reiki, or whatever you want to call it. Was sending out the sending out the essence of the energy from here. So
I get. Yeah, my real quick, my question though about the grids is, do you need to have put it on a certain pattern, or can you just put the crystals and set your intention and send the energy out where you want it specifically, just with your intention? You don't have to have it like on the flower of life or a Sri yantra, or
oh
a
no, no, you don't have to
symbol.
have it on a particular diagram. I know what you're talking about. It depends on how deep you want to go. There are flower of life diagrams. You can put if you believe in the Kabbalah, you can put it on the 72 names of God. Uh, It is according to your
Yeah,
belief. Okay, so if you believe that the flower of life or the tree of life or uh, Yamaya, Kuan Yin, however you want to do it, just put your intention to it. The best crystals to work with for healing and protection are selenite and tourmaline
yeah,
and the pink salt, the pink quartz. Those are the best. What people don't understand about crystals is that they are alive. They are as alive as you and I are, and their energy can assist in the healing process to great levels. And I use them to assist when I'm doing Reiki. I don't follow exactly the way I was taught, because hands-on Reiki means hands-on Reiki. To some people, if you don't touch them, you're not doing Reiki. To other people, if you touch them, that's too much. It depends on what the person is used to. The energy is coming from the same source. It's all coming from the one source. And if, say, for instance, now I use the selenite, I get intuition on what wands to apply the energy through. I use basically selenite surrounded, or uh, I don't even know what it wrapped in. I'm looking for a term, because sometimes I get started with wrapping the copper around them, and I don't even have the slightest idea what I'm doing. All I know is it feels right, so it's coming out. So, but I have had amazing uh, reports from people And I'm always like, I always look like, okay, because each person will have an experience according to their own belief. I don't tell anybody this is the way you must feel. This is the way. I had one woman tell me, you were aligning my chakras, weren't you? You did a chakra alignment on me, didn't you?" And I'm
Mhm.
like,
That's the idea.
if you say so, if you say so, okay, whatever. Because I that was not my intention. My intention was simply to work with the crystals to assist this person in healing themselves. Period. I put myself in that position by simply being the facilitator of that, which means that I, you and I both mentioned it earlier. Uh, Got to take care of the vessel. Make sure that the vessel is on cue, because the vessel can only share if the vessel is in good health. Not that you would transfer your health, but if you're too weak to stand up, then you need to go sit down and heal yourself.
You know, somebody,
Period.
the only supplement he takes is organic sulfur. Have you heard anything about that? Though I read up on the sulfur, does it basically about the same thing as if you have too acidic a body. That I've also heard eat more an alkaline diet, which is basically, no meat and dairy. So again, it goes back to, the vegan vegetarian sort of more plant-based. I think that's basically just how we were in the beginning anyway. I don't know where the meat came in. I happened to see though a correlation with density and being eating meat, because there's certain cultures I think that um, are more, uh, I guess, eat more meat, but they tend to have more health problems.
Um, like our culture, for instance. Um, I have a theory that the red blood of animals, and I think I did find some research to back it up. We can digest just about anything in moderation, but some of us take it to the extremes. And the red blood of animals is not necessary for us to function, you know. And Oprah Winfrey got into trouble with the Texas Beef Association for saying something similar. But it's the truth. Why we don't really need that. As a matter of fact, Dick Gregory even got into trouble for saying something similar. I used to have this affection for oxtail stew. It's very popular in the islands from which my ancestry comes. And so,
Mm-hmm.
because my mom always did such a great job with making it, just like sort of I don't know, nostalgic acknowledgement of her, I would fix at least a pot of it once a year or whatever when I was feeling homesick, let's put it that way. And so I listened to a lecture by Dick Gregory, who had medical documentation that showed that beef in the intestines turns putrefied. And he went on and on. I had the biggest pot in my fridge. I couldn't eat it. I had to throw it away. Um, but he was right in that we don't need that for protein or to survive. We could do just as well with, and I'm not talking soybeans, but there are other vegetable supplements that we could take. You
Mm-hmm.
know, people forget that cows don't eat meat. They eat nothing with,
But
right? Do they? I don't think so.
no,
No. But we oh, steak. Yay. No, that's okay. Anyway, so I think that I've measured out the intricacies of Reiki energy. using it, sharing it, teaching it. That would be another broadcast altogether. But bottom line, as far as the modalities of energy that assists in the healing process, you can call it anything you want to, really. You can send it from, like I said, the moon or maybe Mars if you can get that far. It- What makes it very, very effective when you're doing it in person to someone, and there is a method in Reiki where you focus on a photograph of someone, and this does work. I met a Reiki master about 6 years ago. Her husband's in the Navy, at least he was at the time, and she was stationed in somewhere in Amsterdam, somewhere there, or maybe Denmark, and she became involved with someone who worked for the United Nations. The United Nations representative would come to her with photographs of people that they were going to oppose during their meetings and would ask her to send the individual light to work on them so that they would be in agreement with whatever was said. And she told me, she goes, it was good money, so I did it. Uh, by the time I met her, she goes, I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it anymore. But at the time, I could use the money, and it was really good. So that I would call an acclamation to the dark side, because to me, regardless of what the person is going to say, political, oh, let's not go politically. It doesn't it doesn't matter what the other person's views are. Hold yourself in the light, hold them in the light, and let the universe do the rest. That is not your responsibility to try and change someone's mind on a spiritual level. You can try, and you may have some success. However, energy is like a tunnel. Whatever you send out comes back to you directly. So this is why I don't fool around with that stuff. I don't, unless it's a positive thought to send out, I don't. And that's the same
Right.
thing for the healing. When you're working with someone in a healing circle or a Reiki circle, your desire must be as positive as you would have for yourself. Whatever you would wish your own health to be, that is what you come with. If you can't do that, stay home. Go home. Don't go near anybody until you get your money. That's one of the things I teach in Reiki also. If you are angry, don't work on anybody. Work on
Mhm.
yourself to release and relieve the anger. If you got thoughts that you don't need, get rid of them. Don't go and touch nobody, because obviously you're the first patient. Work on you, and then as you get that positive flow going, then you go, because your intention is positive. When you get the energy back, it will be positive energy. Make sense?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Okay. And it is now 8:45. No one came in for readings, which I would have given a Reiki based reading, but that's okay. Um, Next Monday, they're telling me next Monday I'll be back. Okay, next Monday I'll be back. Um, and we will be exploring something more along the lines of what we really didn't talk about this evening, and that's extraterrestrials and star seeds, and going back, and I may have a surprise on. I'm working on him to see if I can get him to come in. Someone we're familiar with that deals with extraterrestrials. I'm working on him.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have a meeting this Thursday, or where
Uh,
are you?
I know. I don't think so, but uh, you can call Robert. Uh, you can call Robert and ask him. I don't think so. The
Yeah,
last meeting
I was gonna say
was
I
the week
told him I would.
before. You told him you would come? I think because
No,
something.
I said I was gonna hold off until I'm doing some work. You know, like I said, some stuff myself, and um, I am still doing like I said, what I'm doing kind of it's very much in line with the Wingmaker philosophy. It's just like I'm incorporating something that I'm doing with that. So I kind of explained it to him a little bit that when I get to the point where I feel like I'm, can come back in and
Hmm.
I'm going to, resonate with where it's going. Then, because
Okay.
it's a long drive for me. It's very hard. It takes me almost an hour and a half in rush hour. If it was a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I could buzz up there a lot earlier. But when you do it at 7 o'clock on a Thursday or seven, I
Yeah,
have 5:30
I know,
for
sweet.
Miami.
I know. I was going to tell you if you wanted to bring any of it on the air on the Monday evening broadcast, we can do that. I would be
Okay.
interested in having some of the people that you say that come to your meetings come on and discuss the language that they have received. Um, the language that I heard from the extraterrestrials I encountered. Yes, I did encounter them. Let's get that out of the way. Um, I'm curious about. Oh, I would love to be able to explore that more and understand it more. And I have a feeling that I will have. I just have to be patient. But
Okay. Yeah.
we will discuss it. But anybody that you feel that you want to get the link, I didn't get them out properly this evening because it has been with the energies. The energies right now that are coming through are really phenomenal. And mm, major changes are taking place this month. This July is a month that some cultures use to practice mm, certain levels of manifestation, especially around July 31st. Um, for instance, the Hebrews have a specific period from around the July 21st to August 17th. And then there are other cultures that Wiccans also practice a certain because all of well most of the dimensions are open now. The thing that we're noticing or perhaps feeling is that the dimensions are not closing the way they used to when they would open during these times of the year. And all of this is going to continue right up until the end of the year because from August it's going to go into leading up to what is it harvest time, and then October, and then that's one of the reasons the 31st of October is jumping and there's death day and it's this and that, and then we go into instead of looking at the calendar, the Gregorian calendar for holidays, we need to be looking at the constellation and the movements of the planets because
Yeah.
as the planets move, it designates openings and closings of different portals and dimensions, and that is where the recognition of the holidays come from in this particular matrix. So on that note,
That the eclipse that's coming August 21st. Everybody said that 21st, 22nd, 23rd, those 3 days is very important. They said for light workers.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
yeah, because that's they're supposed to be the energy is supposed to be like incredible, and they're like you said, there's stargates, and there's just a bunch going on, and that you're
Yeah,
supposed to
there is a bunch
manifestation.
going on. I'm I'm torn between, I'm supposed to be on the air all 3 days, and I would really prefer to be in meditation those 3 days. So we'll see what's going to go on.
Actually, they mentioned one of the 5 stargates is Sarasota, Florida. Remember, I told you about that over there on Siesta Key. I would love to get over there
Mm,
for one of the 3 days.
that would be interesting.
That's the whole beach
I
is
know,
crystal.
yeah. Yeah, let me know if you're going because maybe we can get a couple of other
Okay.
people to go with us because that it would be a fantastic place to be during that type of energy surge.
Yes.
During that type of energy surge, you want to be where your crystals are and in the right position geometrically. Um, what was I going to say?
Yeah, which would be
Working with the
we'll go
crystals. If you
into
can't get to Sarasota's beach, working with your crystals during that particular point in time is going to be very important. Um, there will be a lot. I know what I was going to say, and it freaks a lot of people out when I say it. But South Florida is a part of the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody wants to mention that,
Mhm.
but it is. Okay? Get used to it, people. Get used to it, people. Between now and 2020, you're going to see some amazing things take place. Now, this is the conversation we'll have next Monday.
Okay.
This is Monday's conversation.
Okay. I
We don't want
jumped
to
in.
blow it.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay. So, well, on that note, I am I am going to just do my exit mantra, my favorite mantra from the ashram, and wish everyone peace and harmony, love, more important than anything else, love. It is all about
Mhm.
the love. Even with all the things that's going on and et cetera, and we've been deprived of our proper codes and DNA strands, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Even though love and holding that particular initiative is going to do more for us than being negative.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I say to everyone, bless you and keep you. Om Shanti Shanti. Namaste. And I will do, let's see if I'm in good voice, if I remember what key I have. The Om Namah Shivaya. Mm, Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om 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 and good night.
Nice, Sharon. Namaste.
Namaste.